Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Unfiltered Perspectives. I'm Tara.
I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Leslie.
We all keep things to ourselves, but not always for the same reasons. And I think the difference might be in the reason why we do it. Sometimes we're just not ready to share, and that's okay. But other times we're quiet because we're afraid of what might happen if the truth gets out. Sometimes there's a fear of judgment, a fear of fallout, a fear of facing it ourselves sometimes. So the question isn't just, am I keeping this private? It's, am I holding this back because it's personal or hiding from something? So today we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between privacy and secrecy. So get your thinking caps on, guys. This is Unfiltered Perspectives, where real talk leads to real growth, and every perspective is valued.
Thank you, Tara, for that introduction into today's topic. I can't wait to hear your guys' perspective on this. The one word that you used that stood out to me immediately in your introduction was judgment. And I think that a lot of times when you talk about not necessarily privacy, but secrecy, how
Hmm.
much you can share about a particular thing because of fear of judgment. When you're trying to get through something or get over something and not everyone understands your position, you fear judgment. And so
Hmm.
there's certain things that you hold dear that you keep to yourself, and that's it. You fear that judgment. And so you kind of sit with that thing alone.
Hmm.
So, what would you both say is the difference between secrecy and privacy?
Secrecy to me, like I said, it's that I don't know how to explain. Those things that you may have done that you fear will get out, or some decisions that you made that you're not ready to share, like I said, because of the repercussions, because of the judgment, because of someone getting hurt, or, things of that nature where other people can be affected. Privacy is just some things are just not your business. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Depending on who you're dealing with it. If you're in a workplace, my family, dynamic, my family situations, it's just that's privacy. My medical history, if we're talking about medical stuff, those things are private. My relationships, if we don't have a close relationship, those things are private.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
It
It
does.
does.
Yeah.
It does make sense to me. For me, they are just so similar because in both cases, you're keeping something to yourself, you're holding something in. But like Alessi said, I think the difference lies in privacy is about respecting or holding boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, I think, just holding on to something because it's yours and you may not want to share, you may not be ready to share.
Mm-hmm.
And also you may just feel like, as the title of this episode is going to be, it's none of your business.
Right.
Where, whereas secrecy, I do think it's a lot of it has to do with, just being afraid or not necessarily always afraid, but just not wanting to have a conversation, not wanting your business out there for other
Mm-hmm.
people, or just, just not being willing to share you, because you don't want to, like I said, have the conversations. You don't want everybody to know certain things about your life. You don't want people
Mm-hmm.
necessarily to make judgments. You're afraid of what people may say, what people may think, where this knowledge may lead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, what this part, this thing that you have inside of you, when it's in the hands of somebody else, what can happen to it, how it can grow,
Right.
how something else can, it's out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your business becomes it's mishandled. It's
Mhm.
not, people are not going to be delicate with your information.
Hmm. Yeah, and so I think secrecy lies in, I think it's kind of more of a defensive response, I think, in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways.
Mm-hmm.
Kim?
Mm-hmm.
So, like intentional, I would like call it like intentionally, like hiding or misleading because of like fear or shame or consequences like judgment
Right, right.
or
Mhm.
mishandling.
Mhm.
Versus like every single person has a right to privacy, like a personal boundary of what information we want to share with people and what information is ours,
Yes.
or how we share that information and with.
Mhm. Right. How we share it and with
Yeah,
whom. Yep.
yeah.
But to me, it's a lot about the motivation, right? Like if I am withholding information because there's like some fear or shame, then I want to consider, is this just privacy or is this actually a secret?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that a lot of times, I think that for me, the issue with privacy is that completely okay with keeping it private. I don't feel any kind of way if I'm not sharing this information with you. It's mine. Whereas if I'm keeping
Mhm,
a secret, I feel like I have to like sometimes tiptoe around certain things and not say the
mhm,
wrong thing.
mhm.
I'm hiding. I'm hiding maybe like what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, definitely hiding a part of myself that I don't want to share. And if it's private, I don't want to share it for whatever reason. If it's secret, I don't want to share it because I'm scared of what's going to happen
I think,
or something in that regard.
yeah,
Mhm.
privacy is your own, I think of privacy as my own personal information that I choose to share if I want to.
Mhm.
Secrecy is so wide open because it could be my secret, your secret, Kim's secret, anybody's secret. And I think secrecy leads to hurt when you let out someone's secret, whether it's your
Mhm.
own or someone else's. It could be detrimental. It could be painful. It could be hurtful. It could be scarring.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, totally different from my own privacy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would add to our like privacy secrecy also confidentiality.
Mhm.
So because in my work I have an ethical and sometimes even like a legal like right to confidentiality. Like certainly there's an expectation when people talk to me that I will keep our conversations confidential. And in some cases, right, if I were subpoenaed, there's a legal protection
Mhm.
that people can expect that if they tell me something because I'm clergy, I won't have to, I, I don't have to testify against them. At the same time, like in New York State, I'm a mandated reporter. So if I know of child abuse
Right.
or harm, I have a like, obligation to
Mhm.
to share that. So it's
Mhm.
especially tricky. So if a child is telling me something, right, that really any person, if I know of harm, like if an adult is telling me about harm to a child, if a child is telling me about harm to themselves or another child, there may be an expectation of confidentiality
Mhm.
and it might butt against an obligation to report.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that same thing applies definitely to certain counseling professions. I mean, I'm not a counselor or therapist, I am a life coach, and even though we don't necessarily have any governmental oversight, we do have ethical obligation, we do have ethical
Right.
guidelines that we have to follow, and one of the things that I have to make plain is that there is an expectation of confidentiality when you however, there are certain things that if they come up, and I do say in advance, if there are certain types of things, if they come up, then I may be obligated to,
Mhm.
like, legally
Mhm.
obligated to say something.
And even with me doing, when I ran the home daycare,
Mhm.
I was a mandated reporter as well. I'm dealing with people's children, and so there are no secrets there. If I feel like a child is in danger and it needs to be reported, it needs to be reported.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what about in a less serious situation in a relationship, right? Do you so I'm do you keep secrets from a part? Yeah. Let me just ask it that way. Do you keep secrets from a partner?
Absolutely. What?
I would say I may intend to keep secrets sometimes just because and I do, and mostly it's because I don't wanna have an argument I don't want to have a discussion about certain things. And so I do like sometimes couch that as, oh, it's private, but it's not really private. It's just I don't want a secret. And so I was
See,
like,
that's what I was getting ready to say. That yours are
sometimes,
not secrets.
yeah,
It's your
sometimes,
privacy.
well, sometimes I was like, why does everything have to be a secret? I'm like, it doesn't really have to be. I just don't feel like having this conversation. But, but I would say like 99% of the time it comes out anyway. So, but yeah, sometimes I will couch things. I will say it's private just because in that moment, I don't feel like talking about it. I don't want to share it. I feel like it's mine and I'll share it when and if I choose to, under the conditions I choose to, not because, you just want to know.
Hmm.
But ultimately, I know that it's not really private. It's a secret. It's a secret.
That is private. I mean, that is private,
Um,
according to how you define privacy, right? Just like a thing that you'd want to keep to yourself.
but
I think it just depends
it's
on
a
what
thing
it
that
is.
it's a thing that I want to keep to myself. But my motivation want to keep it to myself is because I don't want to have a conversation about it. It's because I don't want to have this like this again kind of thing. So I think
Right.
that's different. I think privacy. I don't want to say that secrecy is negative, but it comes with for me. It comes with a lot of negative motivation behind it. That may
Yeah.
not be the case for everybody, but for me it is because there's no. I'm confident enough in my relationship and also with who I am that like if there's something that I need to share or that should be shared that can be shared, I can share it without it having any negative repercussions. But the fact, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
Hmm.
in that at certain moments, I just don't want to. And so I think there's a difference there.
Do you keep, for both of you, do you keep other people's secrets? So if somebody tells you, I want to share this with you, don't tell anybody. Does that include that? Does that like, don't tell anybody include your partner?
That's hilarious.
Is it?
It is
Listen.
hilarious. I honestly, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I was ever told a secret or asked not to share something with John.
Hmm.
So I don't know what would happen if that were to ever come up, but I mean, I share stuff with him, except again, in a professional capacity when I actually cannot. And just like with him with work, there are certain things he just can't talk to me about. Everything else is fair game. We talk about everything, anything. But so
All the things.
all
What
the
was your
things,
what
yes,
what was your
all the
what was
things.
your question again?
Do you keep other people's secrets from a partner?
It depends. If my partner does not know the person, then I probably will share. If the story is relevant, you know what I mean? If we're talking
Hmm.
about something and I'm saying, "Oh, and by the way, I have this friend that, you know, if
Hmm.
we're on a similar topic, and I'll bring it up. But if they know the person, I'm probably not sharing.
Mm, yeah. See, and that's the thing. Maybe I just have different relationships with people because I've never been put in a position where I've been asked not to share something with my husband. I've never been in that position. I don't know. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe people recognize the fact that I guess I mean, other people's stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why that is. Maybe they expect that if you're married to somebody, then I mean, things will get shared. I don't know.
It's funny because I share things with Tara, and I'm saying, I wonder if she told.
And
She's
that's the
like,
thing. It's
she's
not
like,
like,
no, John probably doesn't care.
well, that's what I was about to say because look, I mean, it's not like I necessarily like, there are certain things that people say, they don't say don't share it with John, but it will never come up with John because why would it? You know
Why
what I
would
mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like I'm
Yeah.
gonna, oh, guess what she just told me. That's not that's not how our relationship works.
Yeah. But and now that I'm thinking about it, I've never I've never been worried or questioned whether or not she shared it with the wrong person or anything like that. You know
Mm.
what I mean? You know who you can talk to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. This seems like such a brief topic, but we are already butting up on time. Before we end, though, I do want to share the scripture that I have for this, and that one is Luke chapter 2, verse 19, which simply says, "But Mary treasured up all these things, pondering them in her heart." And for me, this verse is showing us that you don't have to share everything you're feeling, processing, or even living through in the moment. And I think that in our world, in our society, whatever, where everything is expected to be posted, to be talked about, and all that stuff, that this verse gives us leeway, permission, however you want to call it, to just like pause and to say, this is mine for now. For
Mhm.
now. And not everything personal is a secret. Some things are just sacred. Some things are just
Mhm.
yeah, so like Mary, you get to hold on to them in your heart and not be subjected to guilt and not be subjected to pressure.
Yeah, like that. Not secret, just sacred.
Yes, I love it, Kim.
I
You
love
said it,
that.
girl.
So I guess this is where we wrap it up.
I need to
Unless
post
anybody else
that.
wants to say something.
No, I just need to post that. It's not a secret, it's just sacred. I
Right?
like that.
Right? You said
Yeah,
it,
it's
girl.
good.
I just twirled it around.
Yeah, but the way you twirled it made it come out nice. So,
Mm.
yeah, not all secrets are bad. Some things are private because they're personal and not meant for everybody, and that's okay. But I think if a secret starts creating distance in a relationship that you care about, or it makes it harder for somebody to show up for you in an honest way, it might be worth asking what it is that you're protecting.
Yeah.
And privacy is your right? It's your right. Secrecy is a choice, and only you know the
Mhm.
difference between the two.
Yeah.
So thanks
Nice.
for joining us today, everybody. If this conversation resonated with you, this is one secret we'd love for you to share. The Unfiltered Perspective. Um,
Don't keep this light under a bushel.
and as always, this is Unfiltered Perspectives, where real talk leads to real growth, and every perspective is valued.
Yeah. Check us out on the socials. You know how to find it. Share this podcast with somebody that you love and write to us your questions and thoughts.
We look forward to hearing your comments, your suggestions, and all the things. And we will see you back here in not 1, but 2 weeks. All righty.
Peace out.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.